A man can succeed at almost anything for which he has unlimited enthusiasm. Charles Schwab. And my friends, let your enthusiasm be unlimited when it comes to tracking and trading. Practice trading to begin with in the marketplace. Let's jump into these charts. Stocks are mixed. Everything else is up. Bitcoin just a moving. Let's jump first into the S&P 500, our directional probability. I'm looking back over this week. It's been the same all week long. The backtest accuracy's okay, not super, but we are continuing to just move up. And look at this, we're already at average volume after a week off from average volume on the weekly chart. We'll see what things do tomorrow. You can see on the 2-day chart how things have been slowing down, and we are now sitting on that weekly trend line. Now on the half day, the last 2 days, after 2 days of down movement, we've been slowly rotating up. You can see volumes okay there for the last 2 days. Not a whole lot going on the first day of this latest 2-day candle. Maybe we'll get to average volume tomorrow. But when we look at the high from last week, we've pointed out several times, 626.28 this week. 626.87, so we have moved up, which is good. We've already seen that happen in the NASDAQ. It's good to see that the S&P is climbing higher than the prior week. What's up with the NASDAQ? It's down a little bit, 0.14%, but we see the high last week on the NASDAQ, 557.20, this week 557.63. And where did it close? It closed at 555.47. And of course, it also on the 2-day chart sitting right there on the weekly trend line just above on the half day. Saw the volume really decrease in the afternoon. And of course, it did move down a little bit. Our only downer for the day, but we are still quite decently. In fact, our percentages moved up on the bullishness today from yesterday. Backtest accuracy is looking okay. And again, we are still long on the S&P and the NASDAQ. Let's keep going. Where are we on 20-year U.S. government bonds, my friends? We're almost up to average volume. See if we reach that. We did not have an interim high with average volume. We got awfully close last week. You know, I'd prefer a decent spinning top. Let's zoom into that a little bit. Here we go. We will take a look. Yeah, we do have a little bit of so it is a spinning top. It does have a little bit of up movement there. Volume on Thursday's okay. It may hit average volume. I would like to see average volume and an interim high with this rolling over. But let's pay close attention to what happens tomorrow. I may be jumping into a short trade. Where are we from our math? We are slightly bullish still. We were slightly bearish. Yeah, well, we were decently bearish yesterday. But again, with it staying flat, a little more than flat, that changed overnight. But again, I want to see some better percentages. We'll check as we get toward the end of the day. Although typically the telltale sign, if I had average volume and an interim high, and average volume and a spinning top, a clean spinning top, I'd definitely be looking at jumping in. But of course, we don't have that. So we'll see. We'll see. I may pull the trigger on a trade anyway on TBF. I'll let you know. That is where we are as we finish up on bonds. We will go to, let me cover the 2-day for you. 2-day, of course, 4 days of down movement. Latest 2-day candle is a green spinning top, a little bitty one. And of course, 2 days of up tracking. So we'll keep our eye on things. We're still below the weekly trend line on all 3 of our time frames. Let's look at gold. Gold up 0.22%. We're still pretty much flat on gold. We're about neutral when it comes to gold. Backtest accuracy is not high. The directional probability is just languishing. So we don't really know where gold is going. If you put a gun to my head, I'd say down. But it's just languishing sideways. So we don't have a trade there. You can see volumes falling off the last day and a half. On the half day, You can see how decent it was on this red spinning top. Lots of indecision for the Tuesday-Wednesday candles, the Tuesday-Wednesday 2-day chart of this week. And then this one, just sort of a doji. And as we look at where we are on the weekly, we've got average volume there. But almost a doji here, which means extreme indecision and lots of volume. Hey, do you know what that means? You should know what that means. I'm going to put in, at the end of today's video, the volume training that we have. In fact, my book is dedicated to a man who started all of that. His first name is Jesse. Those of you know a lot about the stock market, well, if you have my book, check out the foreword and who it is dedicated to. And we've got a couple of 3 chapters on volume. If you don't have my book, you can get it by becoming a Patreon member at any of the 3 levels. We'll give you immediately, you'll get the book, 3-Wave Trading Advantage, and it's full of diagrams, all sorts of super helpful stuff, readable, understandable, broken down. I've got nothing but compliments from it. And of course, our 3-part series, Options Made Simple, the Charting Wealth Way. That's where we are on gold. We're just sort of hanging out. Now, Bitcoin, it has gone up another 7 points today in its bullish attitude, up 1.24%. It was up, gosh, what was it? 2 point something percent yesterday. You can just see it's been on a tear the last 2 days, pulling cleanly away from the weekly trend line on the half day and bigger. You can see how the candles have been growing on the 2-day chart, almost up to average volume already. It looks like we're at average volume on the weekly. And again, Bitcoin, you know, sort of absorbed that. I was expecting it to do more like this after that big build up, and it may, who knows. But right now, we are bullish on Bitcoin and have been bullish on Bitcoin for, I'm looking back all throughout this week. I'm going back to, let's see, Tuesday, Monday. Yeah, we've been bullish this week and last week. So again, nice to see, well, at the end of last week when things started moving off. So that's where we are, my friends. Again, Patreon members, we've already emailed out to you and we've loaded up at the Patreon page the July 11 5-day plus ETF trading analysis and execution plan with the trading execution summary grid for today, the 10th of July, along with the analysis and predictions, as well as the trade execution instructions for your practice trading on all of these ETFs, the S&P 500, NASDAQ 100, 20-year bonds, gold, and Bitcoin. And don't forget that volume training will be put at the end of today's video for everyone. God bless, my friends. All the best from the whole team at Charting Wealth.